I'm Douglas Lezamera, host of CCC Noticias. Welcome to today's roundtable of candidates who are running for Concord City Council District 2. District 2 covers the northeast portion of Concord from Willow Pass Road and Farm Bureau Road on the east up to Highway 4 and reaching down to the Culver Road at the southern border. Concord City Council members are responsible for proposing new city ordinance and vote on a range of issues, including housing development, business ventures, and contracts. They also help draft a city of town budget. Today's roundtable is sponsored by the Contra Costa County Election Division, the League of Women Voters of Diablo Valley, and West Contra Costa County, and Contra Costa Television, with support from the cities of Eniat, Concord, and Walnut Creek. We are recording today's roundtable live at the Contra Costa Television studios in Martinez. The participating candidates are Eric Attorney and Caroline Obringer. Prior to start of today's program, the candidates drew lots to decide their speaking order. We will begin with Eric.
Thank you. My name is Eric Antonik. I've been a resident of Concord for about 17 years, Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill before that. I've been in District 2 for about 15 years. I've lived all around the country and the world: Mexico, Venezuela, Florida, Southern California, Oregon. Family brought me here to California, the Bay Area, and I've been very happy here, raised 3 kids, have the best wife. I've been in the construction project management industry, specifically the telecom industry, for most of the time I've been here. And I'm all about getting things done, disrupting status quo, pushing for transparency and accountability, and that's probably going to be a theme that I'm going to repeat because it's so important to me. Any institution fails to meet their or fulfill their possibilities once you start breaking down that transparency and accountability, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm running for City Council. I think we need a big change, especially after 8 years of the same, going for 12 years. So I'd like to expand more on that later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Caroline?
Good afternoon. My name is Carlin Obringer, and I'm proud to serve the people of District 2 on the Concord City Council. I've lived near downtown Concord with my husband Justin and my dog Coco for almost 18 years. And thanks to you, I've had the privilege of serving as your mayor once, and now I'm in my second opportunity of serving as your vice mayor. And that gives me deep experience to solve problems for you. And I listen to you. You've told me, Carlin, fix the roads. And so we are spending $114 million right now to improve all of our arterials. We're working on our residential neighborhoods as well. You've told me you're concerned about public safety and our kids. So the city of Concord is now taking on, under my leadership, funding exclusively school resource officers. I'm one of the council members that led the charge to get a master developer in place to ensure that we have someone the community trusts out at the redevelopment of the former Concord Naval Weapons Station. And you also told me you're concerned about affordable housing. So these are the things that I have been working on and we'd be honored to continue to work on and fight for you. Thank you.
Thank you. So Concord recently enacted a new set of tenant protections, which were unpopular with some landlords. Do you feel that the current policy is a good one, or there are still issues to be addressed? We're going to start with you, Ed.
I think I'm okay with some of the provisions, such as the eviction sort of mitigation efforts. As far as the 3%, I'm a little bit ambivalent about that. I wasn't in the thick of the whole debate, so I need to educate myself on that a little bit more. However, my approach is we need a lot more supply, and we need a whole new tier of bare bones basic dwelling units so that people can, in the $800 range, afford a safe and independent place to live. I don't think we have enough of that. It's like people are facing, about $1,500 or so to get into a 1-bedroom apartment, or else they're looking at $800 or $900 for a single home. Too many of our residents are squeezed out of that and even leaving the city. So I think we need to drastically improve supply, but do it in a smart way and try to get away as much as possible from this rental model. The city council seems to be only intent on that, whereas we should be finding creative financing ways to foster ownership, and we can do that. It's done in other places at different levels. The city of Concord can do that, foster ownership rather than rental as the only the main focus. So more units, and I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Carla.
Thank you. So that is an extremely challenging topic because Concord is one of the most affordable places in the Bay Area, but yet it's not affordable to everyone. And so I really advocated when we put that policy in place to try to have a higher cap because we had landlords as part of the conversation. They don't like rent stabilization, but they came to us and they said, you know what, we're willing to do 5%. And so I advocated for 5%. I also honestly advocated to pull the single family homes out because the biggest area where we've seen the need has been for renters in multifamily residential properties. So if I'm reelected, we are going to be working on this again in April of 2025. We will be reviewing the process to see how it has been working out thus far. We did receive some thank you notes recently to the City Council from a group of tenants on Mikasa Court telling us that this has really made a difference in their lives. But in addition to rent stabilization, we are working to make it easier for people to build accessory dwelling units. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we have 1,000 units of housing in the development pipeline, including 500 that are affordable to people making $33,000 to $84,000. So the point is, this is one measure to help keep people housed. We're working on increasing the supply, and we're also working to help keep people housed through our rapid rehousing program, which I'm happy to talk about a little bit later.
Sure. On that note, there are many units being built, as you say, in Concord right now.
Yeah.
Is Concord adequately protecting neighborhood against the impact of higher density while providing the housing that we needed?
Is Concord protecting the neighborhoods? Is that what you're asking?
Against the impact of higher density.
So there are a lot of challenges. So let me just tell you, I live in a high density neighborhood. I live in a transit oriented development that is adjacent to a large lot single family neighborhood. And the way that you protect things, when you go on the other side of the wall from where I live, when you go over to Cordova Way, you can't even see the homes in my neighborhood. And it's because it was designed well. You don't have windows looking down into bathrooms or backyards. So design is critical. And we're also working very hard to ensure that there's more parks and open space for people because if they're going to be living in a denser area. But I will share with you, Douglas, that the state requires us to build this housing with minimal parking. And so that's something maybe you can discuss in a candidate forum for those who are running for Assembly and Senate.
Okay. Eric, what is your take on many unit building in Concord right now? Do you think the Concord adequately protecting neighborhood against impact of higher density while providing the housing that we need?
I believe design is critical, and I've been advocating for that on my site and other forums. I don't think our city council have been doing enough to get proper design. We see these big block, multi-unit constructions all over town rising, and they're kind of cookie cutter, kind of ugly, and I think we need to foster more of a holistic, enjoyable atmosphere. And we have lots of models for that in Europe and in other places. In integrating the surrounding community, making sure it's safe, but also it's walkable, things like that. I just think that after 8 years, we haven't seen enough innovative thinking, enough vigorous solicitation of feedback from the community and from outside parties, designers and such, to give us viable alternatives. It's just more of the same. And this is what incumbents often do. Unless you get a disruptor in there, they just talk year after year. Here we are in year 8, and we still have a housing crisis. We still have a homelessness crisis. We still have a fiasco of the naval weapons projects, developer after developer. So I just think this is one where an approach that integrates vigorous solicitation of feedback from all parties, and then proper design, and making sure that the end goal is people who can live in those places and the surrounding communities want those neighbors in their communities, but also enjoy living there, that they don't feel that they're in a birdhouse of sorts, like a lot of these new units seem to be.
Right, and do you want to
I
address
would
that?
like to add, so Douglas, for those who have been following along, the state has required us to implement objective design standards. So the state has said that we have to make it as easy as possible to build housing. So as a result, we have to put together, and I personally worked with Councilmember Hoffmeister and staff on this. We've had a number of public meetings. In fact, we just discussed this last Tuesday night. So what we're doing is we're trying to ensure four-sided, attractive design while also following the state rules of not using design as a barrier to build housing. And I will just tell you one more thing that's been a goal of mine, is to turn the downtown into a place where everyone can afford to live. You have market rate next to affordable, next to senior. It's all planned out because our goal is to have people of all walks of life being able to enjoy amenities such as Todos Santos Plaza, our library, our grocery stores, all within the same area. So that's what we're doing around housing and design.
Let's talk about homeless. And the homeless encampment sweeps are a controversial practice for managing townhouses. Are there better approaches that you will support for Concord, Eric? The homeless encampment sweeps. So they've been asking homeless to leave the street.
Right.
So do you think there's a better approach, the better way to support in Concord?
An integrated approach. This is what I and the residents of Concord have been demanding for years, and we haven't gotten it. Here we are in year 8, and we're only now coming up with a homelessness plan. That should have been year 1. There's no excuse for this. It's a failure. We needed an approach where, 1, public safety is taken into account. The homeless encampments have to be removed. We should not have people living on the streets, period. That should be immediately taken care of. However, we have to have a safe place for them. You have to look at the complexity of this issue, drug use, mental health issues. You have to have some sort of triage where these people are given a place to get help. And now with the Grants Pass decision by the Supreme Court, we have a little bit more leverage, but that was never an excuse. We could have done so much without that over these last 8 years. We didn't have to wait 8 years for a plan, which we still have no idea how effective it's going to be, or if the current members of the council are going to implement that plan properly and doing their due diligence. So multifaceted mental illness, drug abuse, and safety of the community. And we have to have measurements. This is another thing about accountability. The city council will not place objectives that can be measured on what they implement. Years go by, and only if there's a public outcry do we figure, well, we have to do something different. No, you have to set up objectives that you will agree to be judged by. And leadership does that. We have not seen that from this council. What are the objectives for the homelessness? By what percentage are we going to get them? Community surveys as far as their level of safety and just empathy towards how we're treating these people. I was talking to a woman, homeless woman in her 30s at Baldwin Park, and she was just so distraught at how it was unsafe for her and other women on the street that they have to team up with a man basically to protect them. We should not be forcing our women into partnerships that they don't want to be in just to survive.
Thank you, Eric. Caroline.
Thank you. So homelessness is an extremely challenging issue. I want to share with you what we've been doing to address this, and I do have positive news in that the county's point-in-time count for 2023 showed a reduction by 28% in Concord. So what have we been doing? We talked earlier about the rent stabilization policies and just cause for eviction and relocation assistance. So that is step 1 to help keep people housed. I briefly touched on our rapid rehousing program. We're one of only a few cities that receives funding from the state. We receive a total of $875,000 annually, and last year was our first year. We're implementing it this year again, where if there's, let's say, a single mother and her kids, and they've fallen into homelessness. So maybe mom used to work in Concord or the kids go to school in Concord. We're partnering with Hope Solutions, a nonprofit organization, to help these people find housing. And then there's also wraparound support. So mom takes a look at what kind of apartment or house she'd like to live in, what the cost would be, and what kind of education or training she needs to get the job that she needs to sustain the family. Also, Concord is one of only 2 cities, and there's 19 cities in Contra Costa County, that has a full-service homeless shelter. We are also the place where the county has put most of the services. So there is an ecosystem for unsheltered people to come to Concord to make sure that they, they see their parole officer, they're up at the homeless shelter, they're receiving meals at our parks. And so the point is, this is one of the reasons that we do have a lot of folks, but the homeless strategic plan is something that we took a year to put together with subject matter experts, including people with lived experience. And now we are working to implement it. We're going to have mobile showers with a health clinic as well. We're also working to partner again with Hope Solutions, as well as a local Concord resident who owns the Valley Motel, to hopefully turn those 12 units into housing for people who have been living on Concord streets. So we're doing a lot, but I will be honest with you that the group that is the most challenging is the 25% that have mental health and addiction challenges. And as of right now, I cannot force those folks to receive assistance. Now, I'm looking forward to whenever the Board of Supervisors brings Care Court online early in January. But again, it's a very specific number of people and kind of situation that someone can be remanded or conserved. So we still do have some care gaps that we're working on closing, but we're doing a lot of things to try to address homelessness, and I'm proud to say that we have that 28% reduction in the city of Concord.
Thank you. Let's talk about the immigration court that has built in Concord, in Willow Pass, and that has raised some concern for the immigrant community. How will you ensure that the police support immigrant community? And what I'm saying is that many of the immigrant community have fear to contact police because of this immigration court, because they believe that they can be deported. So do you think the police could play a big role in the communities, helping this immigration community in Concord?
And I'm sorry, I heard you say Willow Pass. Are you talking about Willow Pass specifically?
It's a new immigration court that is just in Willow Pass across the shopping by Fry, where we used to be Fry's.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that specifically what you want us to talk about? Okay, thank you.
And its ostensible purpose is what specifically?
It's immigration court. So it's basically...
the immigration court.
Yeah, the immigration
okay,
court.
thank you.
So
thank you.
It's immigration court. Basically, they're working on cases. But what happened with the community, especially with the immigrant community, they're afraid of contact police because they feel they ended up being deported, and that creates public safety being a very difficult place for people in Concord. So what is your take on that?
I've always said safety trumps everything when you're building, when you're constructing things. That's first and foremost, above the bottom line, above timelines. Safety trumps everything. However, we're a nation of laws, and we want to make sure that the police can do their job. Sometimes the practicality of it is that they need to just work with people, whoever they are. We don't want to dissuade people from helping solve crimes or point out what's going wrong in their neighborhood. So that has to be first and foremost. We can address the issue of immigration in other ways. We don't need our local police sort of being on point for that. Their first duty is to ensure the public safety. So they have to perform that first duty. Beyond that, we can figure it out.
Thank you. So first of all, I do want to clarify that the County Board of Supervisors did place that center, so that is not something that the City of Concord is involved with. So with that said, I first had this issue, this fear that was brought to me. I had served on the Board of Monument Impact, which serves the monument community, and now they've expanded to Antioch as well. So whenever I was elected to the City Council in 2016, there was definitely a lot of fear, and so I worked with our police chief and with the community to draft what the community asked for. They wanted an inclusive city resolution. They told me, Carlin, I want a piece of paper that I have that I can see that the police do not directly contract with ICE. And so we passed that inclusive city resolution, and we even updated it to include our Asian American Pacific Islander community 2 years ago. That had been an oversight. With that said, our police chief is Latino. We have Spanish-speaking police officers working in the monument community. We also have officers who speak Arabic, who speak Urdu, who speak Pashto, because we also do have our new Afghan refugees that we've been welcoming. And I can tell you that the police tries to work very closely in partnership. So I'll give you an example. The Noor Islamic Community Cultural Center, regularly, whenever there are special high holidays within the Muslim faith, the police department makes sure that those areas are protected because there have been terrorist attacks in other parts of the world. And then they're invited to special thank you celebrations. Same thing, there's close partnerships with the police and the monument community. They just had Taco Tuesdays at Los Rancheros a few weeks ago. So what we try to do is have people who look like the communities that they serve out working as police officers to help build that trust. It's an ongoing effort, but it's something, again, we began with the Inclusive City Resolution, and we continue to partner together to help build that trust.
Thank you, Karen. I think I have time for one more question, and I would like to be important with your answer. So how you propose to, or how would you promote the small business in Concord?
My approach is far greater solicitation of feedback from all parties. That includes the small business community. Look at just a whole other level of enthusiasm and energy than what we see on the council and have seen for the last 8 years, I think. Not a state approach, but an aggressive, holistic approach, bringing in all parties. There are lots of complex issues. It's never straightforward, just deregulate, just rezone, just permit and give them carte blanche permission to do things. But do it in a smart way and a very welcoming way. But you have to do it with a vision. And I don't see this vision of what Concord is going to be in 5 or 10 years from this council. We don't have sort of a digital vision board that people can get enthusiastic about, see what the plans for all aspects of the city are going to be. We don't even have a clear explanation to the people of Concord about the budget. How much of the budget is coming from grants or from the federal government, the state government, things like that. Our local government needs to do a much greater job of educating the public, informing them about things, and that includes small business. Just taking it to a whole other level of data analysis, making sure that we're making a fully informed decision, taking into account all aspects, but the goal is to foster a very welcoming environment. And
thank you. I want to have time to also have Caroline.
Thank you. For those who are interested in the budget, we start our budget workshops in February, and there are graphs that show where we get our funds. We have at least 5 budget workshops each year to discuss our budget. When it comes to small business, I love our small businesses. Many of them are owned and operated by Concord residents. I will just tell you a few things. I was the co-author of our small business grants, which we provided up until this past year. We provided using American Rescue Plan Act dollars to 400 Concord small businesses to help keep the lights on. I am an active member of the Todos Santos Business Association, which meets monthly, where I hear firsthand what the challenges are of the downtown businesses and work with them to address them. And part of that is, hopefully people have noticed the big belly garbage cans we have. We've installed those to help the downtown be cleaner. We also have a day porter and a security guard in the downtown because we need to make sure that our downtown is always clean, welcoming, so that people have a good experience and they come back. And I also make a point of using my social media and my e-newsletter to get the word out about small businesses, which people do use as a reference to go back and patronize them. And there's much more that we're doing. We're working on an economic development plan because it's true, our downtown offices have not recovered from COVID. So now we're trying to figure out, how do we get our new downtown population, how do we identify them, and then how do we get them connected with our small businesses? So we're working on that, and I strongly believe that small business is the backbone of our community.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you today, candidates, for being here to answer questions about big issues confronting constituents. Each candidate will now have 2 minutes to make a closing statement. We'll start with Caroline.
Great. Well, thank you very much to the League of Women Voters and to everyone who was involved in making this panel possible today. My name is Carlin Obringer, and I am proud to serve the people of District 2 on the Concord City Council. As I mentioned earlier, it's thanks to you that I've had the chance to serve as your past mayor and as your vice mayor, and that gives me experience and helps me to know how to solve problems for you. As I mentioned, we've been working to fix the roads because you are so tired of those potholes, and I am too. So we're spending $114 million, and we are fixing all of our arterials as well as our residential neighborhoods. We've done road work in the Estates, in Hillcrest, Northwood Drive, the neighborhoods around Queen of All Saints, Mount Diablo High School, the hospital, over at Coventry near Cowell, the Alameda, and more is coming. I see you, Holbrook. Also, you told me you're concerned about safety. So we've stabilized our police force. We're adding officers, including taking on the responsibility of school resource officers, which we used to share with Mount Diablo High School. We also, you've told me, you've said you want us to build more affordable housing so that seniors and children and young people can afford to live here. So we've got 1,000 units of housing, some single family, some multifamily in the pipeline, affordable, 500 units affordable to people making $33,000 to $84,000 a year. And also, I was one of the council members who got the Naval Weapons Station back on track with a community engaging master developer for the redevelopment of the former Concord Naval Weapons Station. So I humbly ask you, please join Concord firefighters, police officers, and hundreds of your District 2 neighbors in supporting my reelection to Concord City Council so I can continue to fight for you. Please visit www.carlinobringer.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Eric?
Thank you. Also, thank you to the League of Women Voters. I'm running simply because I, just as many others with whom I've spoken, am fed up with the status quo with the City Council. We have a lot of members who have been there for ages, including my opponent, who's been there for 8 years, wants 12 years, believes that there's a compelling reason to vote her in for another 4 years after what I term unsatisfactory results. It's been a fiasco with the naval weapons development, going from Lennar to Sino to Brookfield. For years, I've been advocating to the council to change that model from one where we just give ownership of that to a distant corporation, instead of structuring the financials in a way where the residents of Concord own that development. It's going to be beyond $20 billion, perhaps, is what Councilmember Burson told me a few years ago when the development's fully completed. He said over $20 billion. Over the course of 30 years. The residents of Concord should own that, not some corporation looking for an 18% internal rate of return. The council are steadfast in avoiding that. They have not done their due diligence in pursuing that option, despite years of my advocating for that. Homelessness is a fiasco. Again, that should have been year one. Instead, here we are at year 8 with just a plan, and I have no confidence that this council know how to execute plans and keep the budgets intact and see these objectives. Well, we don't even have clear objectives. We don't have measurements to base whether we're successful or not. That's not part of their plan. They refuse to hold themselves accountable. There's so much I want to say. If you want change, I welcome you to join our movement, ericantonick.com, ERICANTONICK. We'll make a big change. We'll interject a whole bunch of energy and ideas and solicitation of feedback and make a change.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This concludes today's candidate roundtable for Concord City Council District 2. Once again, the candidates are Eric Antonick and Caroline Obringer. For more information about the candidate, visit vote411.org. To view this broadcast online or to get more voting information, go to contra-costa-vote.gov elections. For information in election security measurement, visit security/election.org. I'm Douglas Lezamera, host of CCC Noticias. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to vote on November 5th.